Hello, and welcome to another Catechism Tuesday. Today, our topic is sin, and more specifically, what is sin? Well, sin is anything we do, say, or think that is contrary to God's will. Sin really is an I problem. I want, I desire, I think. It's about me rather than about God. And so it's kind of helpful, actually, that the word sin has I in the center because it reminds us that sin is an I problem. There are two kinds of sin. Original sin or inherited sin is the sin with which we are born. Actual sin is the sin we actually commit by our actions. So, original sin refers to our sinful nature. So, when we are conceived, when we are born, we are already sinful. We have a sinful nature because we received that sinful nature from our parents, who received it from their parents, all the way back to Adam and Eve. The original sin of Adam and Eve warped the world. It brought sin into the world, which corrupted the world. And as a result of their sin, now there is death and suffering and all kinds of bad things. Actual sin is the sin that we actually commit because of our sinful nature. There are a couple helpful illustrations to better understand original sin. One is genetics. Just as parents pass along certain genetic traits to their children, they too pass along their sinful nature. So, because your parents were sinful, they conceived and gave birth to you, well, they passed along to you their sinful nature. So, you were born already with a sinful nature. Another helpful illustration is a soda can. When God created the world, it was perfect. It was right. There was nothing bad in it. There was no death, no suffering, nothing bad. Well, when Adam and Eve sinned against God, that brought sin into the world, and that sin warped everything. It's like twisting a soda can, and you'll never be able to get that soda can back into its original shape. No matter how hard you might try, the only way to get it back into its original shape would be to melt it down and remake it. Well, in the same way, when sin entered the world, it warped everything, it corrupted everything, and the only way for the world to be brought back into its original goodness will be in the new heaven and the new earth, the resurrection that awaits, that has been promised and it will be brought about because of the resurrection of Jesus. Now, to actual sin, there are actually two kinds of actual sin. There are sins of commission and sins of omission. A sin of commission is something you actively do that's contrary to God's will. A sin of omission is something you fail to do that God would have you do. So here you have somebody stealing a car. Well, if you are stealing your neighbor's car, that would be a sin of commission. You are committing that sin by actively stealing your neighbor's car. A sin of omission would be if you were watching someone steal your neighbor's car and you failed to do anything about it. So you're watching as they're breaking into your neighbor's car and you don't bother to call the police. You just sit and watch and do nothing. You're not stealing the car, but you are sinning by omitting to do what you should do. All right, so that is what sin is and the different kinds of sin. Next time, we're going to get into the Ten Commandments, beginning with the first commandment. And I look forward to being with you again then. God's blessings, and I look forward to being with you again soon.